three sessions. The first from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on artificial intelligence and image processing. The second session will start from 12 noon to 1:30 p.m. on fuzzy logic, toolbox and implementation of fuzzy system designer. And the last session will be from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. wherein we will be having MCQ based tests from 2 p.m. Followed by this at 3 p.m. we have valedictory sessions. I would like to inform certain things. As we have been informing since the beginning that only the registered participants or candidates will receive the certificate after passing the test and after filling the feedback form. So the test link will be mailed to you all to your registered mail IDs at sharp 2 p.m. And unregistered candidates, if they attempt it also, they will not able to receive the certificate as their names are not visible in the Atal portal. So regarding the feedback form, all the registered participants will receive the feedback form in their Atal portal. So kindly it is mandatory to fill it or to fill this. So all are requested to fill the feedback form received in their Atal portal, and the second one is they are required to write the test also. So let's begin the session. It's my honor and privilege to introduce to our session speakers, Ms. Meenakshi Pindwal and Ms. Himani Agarwal. I welcome you both, ma'am. Ms. Meenakshi Pindwal is a graduate with 13 years of rich experience in software industry. She is a certified Scrum professional and achieved Japanese language proficiency of JLPT level 4. Currently, she is designated as project manager at NEC India. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Manjula-san.
Yeah, Ms. Himani Agarwal, another expertise for this session. She is a proactive and competent PMP, PMI ACP certified project management professional with more than 14 years of rich experience that includes project program management as well as more than 6 years of core technical experience. Currently, she is working in the capacity of Senior Project Manager at NEC Corporation India Private Limited, Noida, and spearheading the aviation domain program. Ms. Agarwal has experience of managing end-to-end system integration and product development, digital transformation and product development projects. Ma'am, it's your platform now. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Manjula ma'am, for such a good introduction.
So it's my pleasure, ma'am.
Yeah, I just have one request to all the participants. Since neither we are faculty nor we are used to this online system of giving lectures, it's quite easy when you are addressing the audience face to face. So if it isn't too inconvenient, I would encourage to participants to please turn on their videos so that we get the feel that yes, we are talking to the live participants and not just the names which are getting displayed on the screen. So if it is inconvenient, please feel free to not turn it on, but if it is okay, I request you to do turn on your videos. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. We can see few coming up, Himani.
Yeah. Fine. So without wasting much time, I would just begin. So let me know when my screen is up, Meenakshi. Is it up?
Yeah. Yes, it's visible.
Yeah. Great. So uh, I think Manjula ma'am has already set the context very well. So without wasting further time, I would humbly welcome you all for this session on AI and image processing today and tomorrow.
Himani, just hold on. I think there's an echo. I think somebody has to mute. Our voices.
Yeah. Yes, I can even hear that echo. So I would request whosoever is not talking to please go on mute.
Let's try again.
I think it's fine now.
Yeah.
Fine. So, although Manjula ma'am has already given the introduction, I would just quickly also like to apprise you all that Meenakshi is, I mean, how relevant this topic is with respect to the experience which Meenakshi holds. So we are fortunate that Meenakshi is associated with our organization, that is NEC Corporation India Private Limited, since almost the beginning of her career. So she has worked in various domains like multimedia, networking, access control, and currently she is spearheading the surveillance projects in the public safety DU, which we both belong to. And so basically, be it biometrics, facial recognition, or artificial intelligence, she is overlooking upon many projects and program in this domain. So yeah, and on her personal front, she is happily married since 7 years, and she has a wonderful son named Raghav, who is 5 years old. And yeah, just to inform you all, she's currently working out of Dubai thanks to this COVID situation and work from home that we all are allowed to do. And I so envy her for this. Yeah, over to you, Meenakshi.
Meenakshi ma'am, you can unmute yourself.
Hello, Meenakshi, are you there? Seems she's not interested in introducing me. Meenakshi?
Hello.
I think maybe network issues.
Yeah, Dubai
She's
internet is not all that good, it seems.
okay.
No, actually my mic
Yeah,
was disabled. Now I got the
yeah.
hold of my
Now,
mic.
now it's
Okay.
working. Yeah.
Thank you, Vikas. Thank you,
Oh,
Vikas. So
sorry
actually,
for the inconvenience.
no, it is fine. But see, Himani just took that chance and starting blaming Dubai's network. Okay, so yes, I would like to thank you everyone at ILM Academy to giving us this opportunity to be able to talk to teachers after so long time. Thank you very much. And now I would also like to introduce Himani to all of you, but I'm sure some of you might already know her because she has already delivered a lecture in ILM campus before this before this COVID pandemic. And she has a very rich experience of 14 years. She's been associated with multiple organizations. Now she is supporting us at NEC Corporation. She had worked in different domains like automotive networking. Right now she is heading an ongoing project in aviation, which is where she is working very closely with the Airport Authority of India, and they are creating a software which will make our lives very simple at airport. Whenever whosoever is traveling, they'll find her software placed there and making their life easy. And she is a bachelor's of technology in electronics and communication, and also grabbed the esteemed PMP certification along with the PMI ACP from Project Management Institute, Global Project Management Institute. And on personal front, she is married from 13 years, and she has a very lovely son, Athar, of 10 years old. And maybe we can just start. Himani, can you just
Thanks, Meenakshi. That wonderful introduction once again. So yeah, this makes our morning good. So it seems that despite a wonderful introduction what Manjula ma'am has given about us, we could still, add few more colors to it. So our trick of giving cross introduction actually worked, Meenakshi, right?
Yes, I think we are able to appraise both each other
Yeah,
well.
but I think the lovely audience that we have today, it's we cannot fool them. So yeah, we both have a confession to make. Yes, we are stressed out right now, and the reason is actually when we were discussing in our team that we are going to give a lecture to the audiences. So they were telling what degree you hold, and we both fortunately or unfortunately are bachelors. So they told us, the teachers that you are going to talk to, they might be even holding PhD degrees. So what will you teach them? So yeah, I was bragging that, what teaching is, it's like a walk in the park. So what if that park is a Jurassic Park? But yes, I'm really humbled. We both are in fact really humbled that you have given us this opportunity to talk to you, to come here and deliver this lecture in front of such lovely audience. So last time when I visited IILM, it was quite different. I was addressing to the students. So yeah, that seems easy. All I hope is that uh, in next 80 minutes we are able to give at least while we do a lots of interaction and co-learning together. I just hope that we together, me and Minakshi, are able to give few learnings to you out of the experience that we carry, out of the projects that we are doing. So I sincerely hope that we are able to bring that value in our session, through our session. Another thing, what you can expect in next 80 minutes is that we'll be telling that how artificial intelligence and image processing are related. Basically, how they correlate, how they exist together, and how artificial intelligence and image processing are working together to make this world a more convenient and a better place to live in, where where lazy people also can operate seamlessly and can focus on things they want to focus on rather than doing the regular course or stuff in life.
Yeah, and Himani, I would just like to add that I took the opportunity to attend few of the sessions, early sessions in this program itself, and I saw that there were multiple lectures wherein details of artificial intelligence and image processing and the theory part of it, different algorithms, and how to put those algorithms on different data sets is already been taken care of. So what our focus would be, I think we should focus more on the use cases, on the implementation part, practicality about these technologies, how these technologies are making our life simple in the world, what kind of applications, what kind of softwares are already there in the world, and where the future lies. So most of we are trying to give you the actual use cases which are there in the world going on, and of course we'll try to think more, and we'll try, if possible, we'll try to come up with new idea in this particular session, which we can pass on to this next generation we have at hand, and these teachers, all the teachers are directly dealing and creating this new generation. So if we could come up with some new ideas and pass on to them, which they can take forward and add stars to artificial intelligence. So that is what we have restricted our today's session. Our today's session will revolve around this. And but Manjula ma'am, if we could just ask the audience that if our expectation and their expectations are aligned, and is there anything which they want us to keep in focus more.
There you go. Overconfidence, Meenakshi. That is all we know. You are asking the teachers what they want us to deliver.
Yeah.
uh, Actually, we are all on the other platform and you are all on the other platform. So we need to connect together. Um, your expertise in another field and we are expertise in another field.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can continue. We, the audience, will raise our queries if you have any doubts.
Yeah, that would be really helpful. So in case we are going too slow, as you all are already experts in whatever you are doing. So in case we are going too slow, please point to us, or in case we are going too fast, please then also point to us. And yes, let us try to develop at least one idea out of here which can be utilized by the campus kids for maybe their final year projects or something like that. So let us see that how artificial intelligence and image processing is contributing to make this world better. So yeah, Meenakshi, can you please brief us regarding the journey of artificial intelligence, where it all started, how it all started, and where are we today?
Yeah, sure, Himani. Actually, see, artificial intelligence is not a new term. It is not a new phenomenon. It was much it. Sorry, I can see few people coming up, and I am getting the request to allow them to their session. Is it okay if any way to
Ma'am,
stop this?
I am allowing those. You continue with your
Oh,
proceeding.
okay. Okay, fine. Thank you, Vikas sir. So, see, AI is not a new phenomenon. So much of its theoretical and technological base was developed like very as old as 70 years back by famous scientists like Alan Turing, Marvin Minsky, and they were coming up with the Turing test. That was the officially when AI was born. AI term was coined for academic use was in 1956 at our Dartmouth conference. But yes, um, uh, but machine learning was witnessed much before that in 1950 itself. So what Turing test was to if a machine has the ability to exhibit intelligent behavior which is equivalent to human intelligence. And thereon we started with the golden years, the very early enthusiastic years of AI, wherein Eliza came into picture, which is a very first chatbot which came up in 1966, where people won't even realize that all their queries are being answered by a machine and not a human actually. Webot, the very first intelligent humanoid robot, which was built in Japan in 1972, that came up. Then but after this initial 2 decades of golden time, there came the first AI also faced its first winters, where the government, the investors have stopped giving the funds for AI development, because see, whenever anything just starts, it needs a lot of investment, and comparative to that high investment, the results were not appreciable, were not visible for any new technology when it comes. So AI also faced its winter. So you'll see there is a big gap between two dots from 1966 to 1997. There was not much significant development there. So that was the time when AI was calm. But then after since 1980 and 99, around that time, it again picked up its importance and shown its development. So from there on, it maker came back, and then with expert systems which can actually emulate decision making ability of human experts. So with that boon, now there is an emergence of intelligent agents which has been seen, where machines are winning against world champions, And also artificial intelligence has entered our homes with the Roomba kind of robots, which is actually a vacuum cleaner, which will just clean your house like a professional. And then many famous names, many famous companies like Facebook, Twitters, Netflix, everybody started using AI. Google has also launched an application like Google Now, which is actually giving us the prediction. Like prediction is a new thing, where it is hard to imagine that okay, anybody can actually tell us what is going to happen, or at least with some probability of success. That kind of prediction coming up, making our life simple. Then of course multiple chatbots added to here, and IBM coming, then all all major brands like Amazon coming up with Alexa in 2014. Then Microsoft came up with another chatbot, Tay, and then Google is also putting its feet forward. And in 2018, we have seen Sophia. So I am sure most of us might be knowing about this. Is the first a humanoid robot which has attained the citizenship of Saudi Arabia. So like it is really very difficult to see the hard line between a human and a robot. She can express herself, she can react on other people's emotions, she has her own emotions. Like she can do anything what a human can do. So that is the kind of development we have seen over this timeline. And of course now we all like corporates like Himani and some like me, and of course professors, researchers like we all in the audience, we can work together and try to add some few more dots to this timeline and come up with some new ideas.
Yeah, that's a rocking thought, Meenakshi. Moving on to what is artificial intelligence, if you could just summarize that, how it all works.
Yeah, of course. Actually, as I mentioned, I think in the early days of this particular program, the this particular thing is already covered. But yes, just to summarize, artificial intelligence is actually the collection of technologies. These technologies, which is mentioned on the right hand side, it is a collection of these technologies which actually enables machines to act with a higher level of intelligence, and which can emulate our human capabilities of sense and comprehend and act. So like computer vision and audio processing can actively perceive the world around them by acquiring and processing different images, different kind of sounds, and different kinds of speech. And that is basically where the raw data is. This ample amount of data is collected, and then NLPs and inference engines are enabling these systems to actually analyze and understand this collected information, which is actually putting up some wherein these algorithms are put up to actually analyze these data. And now the further enhancement is where AI system can actually take actions also on these data, on these analysis. They can provide their predictions, they can provide their suggestions, and they can perform some actions based upon these. So these human capabilities are augmented and by this ability to learn from our experience and keep updating, keep enhancing, like keep improving over the time. So that is where that is what artificial intelligence is all about. And in this current era, artificial intelligence is finding ever wider application in I think across all the fields, all the domains. We can see AI coming up and making it better.
Definitely, Meenakshi. So, yeah, we'll be taking up that how, in what domains artificial intelligence and image processing is paving its way, and yeah, how further can it improve what it has already achieved. So any questions so far? Great. So while I ask that question, I miss a beat. So
Yes.
good that there are no questions.
If any questions, audience, you can post that in the chat box also, or else you can directly share your thoughts also.
Yeah, I
Yes,
think
yes, yes.
one of the major agenda was to keep this session interactive and have a co-learning. So I think if we can get the questions directly, that would be better.
Yeah, not just questions. If anybody wants to express anything here, or if they want to add on to what we are saying, yeah, that is also most welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, so as we all learned that artificial intelligence is actually coming up from way back since 1950s, and then it is improving, and now we have come up with something called machine learning and then deep learning. So basically, machine learning and deep learning is a subset of major domain, which major technology is artificial intelligence. The very minute difference between the machine learning and the deep learning is that wherein there is a lot of data, the data is collected, and then we have to basically extract some features out of those data. That feature extraction is a separate step wherein still some might human intervention might be required there, and then machines takes it up, classifies it, and gives us the desired output. Whereas in deep learning is where end to end from we just pass on the input, and all the feature extraction, classification, analysis, and action is taken upon by the machines. So that is a deep learning. So this is the major difference between machine learning and deep learning, and I think this has already been covered in earlier sessions, so we won't go much in details here. Um,
And I still remember that when I started with artificial intelligence, the first program each one of us write is to basically see whether an image can be, or whether the program can correctly identify an image. So
exactly.
yeah, it's like you input, you train, and then you train that program to actually identify multiple inputs. So be it an image of a dog, or maybe a tree, or maybe a simple road. So that's how it all begins.
Yeah, just like machines is able to identify that two eyes, one nose, one mouth, 2 ears is not always a human. It can there are
Correct,
multiple
correct,
options
correct,
and
correct.
identify it correctly there. So that is where the intelligence comes.
Yeah. So
Good
AI.
morning, ma'am.
I could hear.
Yeah. Do we have
Good
any
morning, ma'am.
questions?
Madam, question, madam.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, please. And you can
Ma'am,
please address us by our names. I am Himani, and she's Meenakshi. So no ma'ams, please.
Meenakshi, madam.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. If you want to learn all this machine learning, deep learning, or artificial intelligence, we need to learn all the mathematical concepts is required, madam.
No, no, no. If that was true, then I would have flunked very badly. So no, we definitely need not learn the mathematical concepts. Actually, this is a very huge domain, and you can choose and play your part. So it's like there are programs. If we all know there is a Google. So on Google now there is a code base also. So you can do a Google code based search, and if there are certain pieces, like if I have conceptualized something which I want to build upon, and now I need the algorithms or the programs which can take care of this machine learning or the mathematical part, I can very well do that. There are free libraries available, there are free source code available, there are various basically components available online which you can use and simply put things together and develop a solution out of it. So definitely you need not learn. So it's like just as kids are learning coding these days through Scratch, they don't know what is happening when they are bringing those blocks together. So it's like they don't understand that, okay, if they are writing a if else statement, how it is actually operating, what code, what syntax is it getting written, but what they understand is the logic behind it, that yes, if I have to do this, then if this statement is true, then this should happen, else this should happen. So this is how they learn if else. But when they are bringing on those blocks onto that scratch pad, then actually it is converting those textual statements into code. So that part, again, the kids don't understand. So similarly here also we can use those open source libraries and ease out our problems, so we can choose what we like and
Yeah,
bring
actually,
those components together and build it up.
yeah, basically, definitely we need mathematical understanding, but that could not be the hindrance in moving forward in AI, because as Imani explained properly, that for that we have readily help available. So if at all you just have an idea, see, idea and the concept, that is important. If that is coming up from how we can use this technology much, then for mathematical part we have a readily help available, and definitely that is also a line stream itself where we can put if we want to do develop only in the mathematical side. So
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
yeah,
hope we answered your question.
Thank you, ma'am. I got it.
Thanks. Yeah, so moving further, AI and image processing today and tomorrow. So for basically for the next entire session, we'll be coming back to this slide again and again, wherein we have chosen certain domains. It seems it hasn't moved. Meenakshi, is it showing domains enabled by AI? Yeah, now it has come
yes,
up.
yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we'll be coming back to this slide again and again in our presentation from here on. The reason is that we have chosen certain domains, first based on our experience, and second based on the use cases, uh, uh, based on the use cases of AI based image processing that currently these domains are using. So there are multitude of use cases which are prevalent. There is a lot of research and development which is going on in AI based image processing in these domains. So we'll have a look at it one by one. And yes, as I mentioned, let us also, like while we present a few examples, let us also co-create and co-ideate and think more that what else can change in these domains with AI and image processing.
Yeah, so the domains which we have picked up are, let's start with surveillance and security, wherein we'll cover the access control and the physical border surveillance and the smart policing, which is there. So basically, for surveillance, I think there was a paper which was published in September last year, according to which the surveillance technology is spreading at a very very faster rate than we could actually thought. And out of 176 countries, at least 75 of them are globally actively using these solutions of AI surveillance, which includes smart city platforms, facial recognition systems, and smart policing. Also, according to this research, China is a very major driver of AI surveillance worldwide, where Chinese companies are coming up with the latest technologies, and I think they are delivering it to around 63 countries. out of which Huawei is the only Huawei alone is responsible for delivering AI surveillance software technologies to 50 countries. So like no other company can come closer to it. And the next largest non-Chinese supplier of AI surveillance technology is Japan's NEC Corporation. I think, Himani, it's a proud moment for us. Let's take a little pride in it that yes, our organization is the largest non-Chinese supplier. Now, see, basically surveillance means
Definitely,
what?
Meenakshi. And I hope you are also aware that NEC's facial biometrics is the world's best biometric engine. And the next one which comes is not even close. So it's like they will take another 5 years to come close to what we have already achieved in facial biometrics.
Yes.
So yeah,
So now,
so that is one of the primary reasons. Sorry for taking that from you, Meenakshi. But yeah, that is the primary reason, like why we are probably stuck to this organization. So one thing which I really feel proud about, and which I would like to share with you all also, is the fact that this organization is not only working on the cutting edge technologies or the niche technologies which are developing, but this also gives us an opportunity to work on projects and programs which actually touches life of so many people. And that is such a huge, that gives such a huge contentment and feeling of self fulfillment, that yes, we are doing this together. So just to give a small example, in surveillance and security, there is a project, there is an integrated command center which is currently used by Haryana government. It is based out in Gurgaon, and that entire project is done by NEC Corporation India Private Limited, wherein uh, they have deployed around more than 4,000 cameras across Gurgaon, through which they are achieving what all is mentioned in this slide, which probably Meenakshi will be explaining in more detail. But again, that technology, while it was meant to deliver all this, what is mentioned here, during this pandemic, we could tweak it, and it was actually used to identify if there are any gatherings of more than 6 people uh, taking place during the lockdown. So at that time, that entire integrated, so it's not just capturing, it's not just surveillance, but they are also able to trigger, sitting in that control room, they are also able to trigger or make attention, give attention to the police nearby, the ambulances nearby, or the various departments nearby, and asked the people to further disintegrate and rather not accommodate at one position. So yeah, I immensely take pride in this project and many other similar projects which we are doing right now. So as even our PM says that make in India or be self-sufficient, technology like this is enabling us in actually doing that and turning things around. Sorry, Meenakshi, for taking that, but I just couldn't
that's
stop
fine. Yes,
myself.
because that is a very really nice software which is helping it, and it also showcases and addresses today's session's topic of artificial intelligence and image processing as well. So yes, so coming back to surveillance, surveillance is now let's see how image processing is actually helping in surveillance. So surveillance, what does it basically? It means that following the movement of someone. You just track a face, you take an image, you the subject can be anything. It can be a human, it can be it can be an animal, or it can be object, anything it can be. So you just capture that and then you monitor its movement. Okay, so like millions of cameras are there all around. You can see that there are millions and billions of cameras, but there is no one to actually keep a check and keep monitoring it 24/7. It is difficult to provide that 24/7 support. So that is where artificial intelligence comes into picture, and that is also a place why it is pinches a bit to the security agencies and all, because it is difficult for a human security person to provide that 24/7 support and actively see and monitors what is happening inside the camera. Because see, there is a placeholder to view the camera output, but how attentively, how effectively a person is actually watching and analyzing that data. So but AI is providing us a force which actually needs no food, need no salary, and then they don't need a sleep, or they don't need a break time, and it is giving more efficient and effective results all the time. So once the AI system is deployed, then all those output of those cameras are actually, oh, sorry, Mani, are you changing the screen? Okay. So those kind of monitoring is being done by AI, and AI can actually process each and every frame, and then give us the security results. So like for example, we have a complex, like it relates to one of the projects which we have done, wherein there is a casino complex in US, and we have to we have to ensure that none of the objectionable people, or people who have a criminal background, or people who are not allowed to like age group wise, there are age restrictions, they are not allowed to in that particular area. So those kind of things can be monitored at the entrance as well. So what we actually do is that we create certain watch lists. So watch list is it is a list of people. You feed that data into the system, that okay, for a watch list of criminals, you will get the records, you'll get their biometric data if possible, their name details and their face images, and then you feed that data into the system. Similarly, you can also create not only for criminals and policing purpose, you can create it for hospitalization, for hospitality. Like you can create a watch list for the VIP sections, whom you want to give a special attention when they arrive to there. So you can create a watch list for them. So if you already have that data in hand and you feed it into the system, then it's the system's responsibility to give you a trigger and alert whenever that match is found from the system. So at the entrance, if you establish that system, and any VIP is observed or captured in that camera, then that alert, that notification will go to the specific person, to the administrator who is responsible, and then certain arrangements can be done very quickly without even noticing. And similarly, if a suspect or a criminal person is detected, then the alerts could be given to the police. The direct alerts are going to the police, and then certain actions are definitely taken care of. So that is how surveillance is actually helping everywhere. Of course, some few things can be done. This is can be done at access control level also. So wherein how to ensure that the only the allowed people, only the authorized people are actually accessing a particular facility. So that is where artificial intelligence is working. Even with masks in current COVID situation, where everybody is going touchless. So like everybody feels very the discomfort in touching anything. So they want that they can now after this lockdown, all offices and all everything is opening up. So and they have to open up, but we cannot we have to keep the security and the safety of the people at our priority. So now all these systems are further adding on to the features, like making it touchless. How to ensure that a person when arrives to a particular office or to a school or a college, and they can seamlessly enter without touching anything. So they do not have to write their name on register or things like that, or they do not have to touch the screen or to give their thumb imprints to be able to get identified and cross that section. So now it is more kind of that you just capture your face and all your data is there, and the system will identify whether you are the right person or not, and then you can cross through that. So that is how actually security and surveillance is being helped and supported by AI right now.
Awesome. That was really good, Meenakshi. So, yeah, moving on
to aviation. I think as I told you, Himani is right now doing a wonderful, wonderful thing in aviation, and she'll explain how she's making life simple.
Oh, yes. Just as I was mentioning a few minutes back, that this organization gives us an opportunity to actually touch the lives of so many people. I'm sorry, I'm just discomforted by the fact that my video is not on. Yeah.
It's on, Himani, but now presentation is not visible.
Yeah, just one sec. I'm checking that why is this not working, and I'm not even getting a laser pointer. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Just give me a second. Yeah. Great. So I got my laser pointer back. Fine. So yeah, we'll now talk about aviation. That how artificial intelligence and image processing is changing the face of aviation. So basically, we all would have gone to the airports at one point in time or other. So currently, how it goes is like we have to take the printout of the flight itinerary, what we have, and once we reach the airport, there is a CISF personnel who asks for our identification, and he validates our itinerary with the ID, with a government ID, that whether we are the valid passenger, whether the itinerary that we are holding is a valid itinerary, and then we move to the check-in and the backdrop process, where usually there is a huge queue. Once that is done, we move to the border control in case it is an international flight, or in case of a domestic, we usually move to the security area, wherein we are the frisking takes place for the obvious reasons of security. And in case of an international flight, yeah, again, there is a lot of documentation that we have to do. There is form filling what we have to do. And then finally, we get to the lounge access, for which we all wait for. Again, at lounge also, there may be rush if you are catching up a early morning flight, or the flight where there is too much of rush. Then yes, even this accessing a lounge becomes a challenge. And finally, at the boarding, again, there is a queuing up, wherein we all eagerly wait to board our flights. Now, facial recognition and artificial intelligence. So basically, image processing and artificial intelligence, how they are going to change this face. Imagine I sitting in a car while going to the airport. I register myself through a web-based UI or through an app in my mobile phone, and I register my facial I register my facial signages. I give my biometrics to that application. It stores the itinerary, what I would obviously be holding in terms of a digital boarding pass, or some other means. So I do that from the comfort of the taxi which I am in, and I'm utilizing that time. Now, once I do that, there will be an entry gate, just as it is now, where this time the CISF will not be waiting for me. So it's like I go there and now my face acts as my passport, and my face acts as the only thing which I have to carry. So it recognizes my face and validates that yes, the flight which I'm trying to board is within, maybe next 4 hours or within maybe next 6 hours, so that the uh, the queuing which is happening also gets controlled, and the number of passengers going inside the airport also gets controlled. So it checks that, it validates my itinerary, it validates my government identity proof, all within seconds. So it's like I am taking maybe 3 to 5 seconds to say the sentence, but probably that facial matching will happen in milliseconds or microseconds rather. The gates open and I'm in. Now again, the self check-in and self backdrop, that makes our life simpler. I need not, in this current pandemic, I need not come into contact of any person personally. I simply use a machine, sanitize my hands and move further. So I can do that self check-in, I can do that self backdrop. Again at border control, no queue. Simply my ID, I need not fill any forms. All the details which I have already uploaded through that web portal or through the kiosk available outside the airport or through the application which I have on my phone running, it takes care of all the form filling and diverting it to the uh, necessary bodies if it comes to international travel, or to the security frisking if it comes to the domestic travel. That is done, and again I'm taken care through a simple gate having facial biometrics, so my face is recognized and I'm through. Now lounge access, again all the payments, everything, the access to the lounge is again managed through facial identification. Further, the basically all the payments of whatever I use is also taken care through this. So actually there are statistics. So the solution which I'm right now talking about is actually working in Dubai. It's actually working in Orlando Airport, Frankfurt Airport. So yeah, this is true. So this is no more something which is not there, and soon you will see this in India also. So to begin with, I mean, uh, please do look out for those news wherein you will see the system implemented in Varanasi. So this is going to happen sometime really soon. When I say soon, maybe in February or March, you'll hear those in media. Yeah, so this is such a simple thing, which currently leads to so much of wasted hours, so much of wasted energies. How more productive can we be if, technology can help us or ease out certain monotonous things which we have to do on a daily basis. So yeah, that's how aviation face will change in times to come, not just internationally, but yeah, in India as well.
Yeah, actually, Imani, as you mentioned that yes, it is already there in many of the international airports, like in Dubai. If I would like to just add on to it, that like in India, we have Aadhaar card, and when you register for your Aadhaar card, you give your biometrics, you give your face, your eyes, and your thumbprints. Similarly, in UAE also you have your Emirates IDs, wherein you when you create them, that is a unique ID of all the citizens, and you give your biometrics also. So at airport, I've seen that yes, when you come there, people are taking their passport who are not the resident and who do not have those IDs. They are going and standing in those queues. But yes, if you have that ID implemented, then you just have to walk through a panel. There is a complete corridor. At the beginning of the corridor, you'll get identified and with your face, with the cameras. There is no person who will talk to you or will check your details or something. You'll just cross that corridor, and during that walk of, like, I think it's a corridor of a 1 minute walk, you just cross it, and then all your identifications and all your documentation work is done. As soon as you cross it, either you will be allowed to go or you will be stopped if those biometrics or there is any discrepancy there. So it is so seamless that there is you do not have to talk to anyone. There is there need not to be any attendant or any management staff there sitting and checking, okay, is she's the right person, she has the valid visa or not, or things like that. So yes, and yes, as you mentioned, soon we'll be seeing that in India. It is eagerly waiting for that.
Yeah. And in fact, I was going through certain matrices which states that, after this system implemented, the revenue which is collected through the malls which are there in the airport. I mean, you talk about Singapore, you talk about any airport, or why go to Singapore? You talk about Indira Gandhi International Airport, Delhi. So they are earning much more than what they used to earn earlier, because most of the times was spent in queues. Now the people arrive early as a habit, and the process is so seamless that in their idle time they basically spend in at the coffee lounges or the various small shops which are there in the airport. So it's like it is giving further opportunities of business to grow there. Yeah, so it's like certain unsaid advantages which technology brings to us. Yeah, Meenakshi, I think since some time now we have been speaking a lot. Any questions? Anything that anyone would like to add?
Or maybe just sharing your experience anywhere related to these topics maybe might also help to enrich this session.
Kindly audience, you are most welcome to share your experience, any queries with our guest.
Okay.
No queries.
Great. Either we are doing too good or we are simply not making sense.
No, you are going too good.
Let's hope we are not so boring. Much boring.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's really very interesting session.
Fine. Moving on to healthcare and diagnostic research. So it's like this is one thing which we all worry about. So, the well-being of ours, the well-being of the people who are close to our heart, how it so how artificial intelligence and image processing is going to change the scene of the healthcare and diagnostic research. Yeah, Meenakshi.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, see, as you rightly mentioned, health is see, this body is for which everyone is working hard to keep it active and keep it for as long as we can and be here with our dear ones. So in healthcare section, AI has supported a lot, and I think this is one area where a lot more. I think it is always said. I've read it in some articles that healthcare has till now has used AI in like 20 to 30% of the portions, and it seems that yes, still 60 to 70% of the development is expected in that area. It is a vast area, which vast market where AI can actually do wonders. So till now, like a remote patient monitoring is one thing which has of course started in this corona COVID pandemic, wherein where all the patients are not able to visit to the doctors because clinics are closed. So that remotely assisting the patients, diagnosing and providing the proper prescriptions is already happening. It has already started, but yes, then monitoring your patient for over the time, it is difficult for a doctor to do it manually. If we could have those systems wherein systems automatically keep prompting your patients and how about their well-beings, and then keeping a track of it. And whenever there is a trigger that yes, so for example, there is a patient who has to take some prescribed medicines for like about a week or so, and not the doctor directly or not the nurse or assistant directly talking to the patient, but yes, the system talking to the patient and taking that data that whether that patient is taking that prescribed medicine regularly or not. And suppose if they have missed for 1 or 2 times, then the doctor gets that alert, oh yes, one of your patient needs further care. So those kind of things can be done in AI for in case of patient monitoring. Although in some part of the world this is already there in place, but yes, still this could be improved further. And nowadays we can see a boom for like preventive care. So what actually visiting to a doctor is, what is a reaction to something which has happened. You have already got that ailment, and that's a reaction that now you are sick, and then you are going to a doctor. But nowadays what is happening is more researches are being done around preventive healthcare, so wherein you can prevent from getting a disease. So now you can see that there are a lot of wearable devices and smart monitors, smart health monitoring devices. You have a health monitoring app in your phone. You have widgets like handbands which will monitor your heart rate, which will monitor your blood pressure. Everything is there, pulses, and they can, in fact, they can even keep a track of how much calories you eat, how much not, and what's your body temperature. And from these devices are monitoring it throughout a time. So that is from like in the very initially in this session we discussed that AI has few phases, that collecting a data and that analyzing it, and the most important is acting upon that data. So I think collecting data and analysis has already reached India, and we can see it because it has reached to a major portion of the population, because these devices are now in the range, is in the capacity of a common person to buy and actually to start using that. So the lot of data is being generated and being analyzed, so you get a trigger. So like I was wearing a Fitbit, and a Fitbit actually tells me that when I'm in office, okay, after an hour or so, it will buzz and it will tell me, okay, it's long that you have not stand up from your position, and being in a keep working in a static position will harm your neck or your shoulder pain. So just get up and do a desk exercise, at least go and take a walk. So that is kind of a preventive healthcare. So these devices, these technologies, giving us alarms, giving us alerts before you actually get into that state where you will actually get ill and you have to go and see the doctor. So I think a lot of development has already happened. Now you can see devices which are available to be placed in your home, which can actually sense that, okay, your air inside your home, it will analyze that, your temperature, or any foreign material which you have bring in. Suppose you have bring in a new carpet for that matter, and if by chance it emits some dust which is not visible to you, which you cannot sense, but yes, that system can sense that a particular kind of dust which you have introduced to your home with this new particular item might harm your health after 2 years. So that kind of alert you can get right away. So and this is actually helping us to remain healthy, and this kind of diagnosis will is help is making the population healthier. So, and one more, I would say the most time taking most time taking researches happens in drug invention. So we have seen like until last year, we see a drug invention to find and finalize a particular composition of a medicine. It actually took around 10 to 15 years. It involves it. we get it in a market like for so less money, so we don't actually realize how much effort is being put there. But maybe yes, some of the professors and researchers who might be dealing with biotechnology or so, they would agree to it that yes, it took around 10 to 15 years of effort to actually come up with one single drug. And now I think we all have witnessed that for this COVID unexpected virus, team started working just last year, and we already have a vaccine here. So this could not have happened without an active presence of artificial intelligence or deep learning, because uh, getting the various compositions available, and what two composition will work for which element could not be done without artificial intelligence. Like if we do it with traditional processes, it takes just to see how two chemicals are reacting. There are so many options possible that it will take around months to see how two chemicals are actually reacting. Now that could be done in hours. So that is why I think we all can see that a vaccine is there in just couple of months. So and
Definitely,
it has helped
definitely.
us in controlling this corona very early. So
Yes,
I
definitely,
think
Meenakshi. Yeah,
yeah.
I think as we say that necessity is the mother of invention. So that's what has happened. That's what has forced us to actually innovate. That is what has pushed us to push our boundaries further and to make impossible possible. So who would have thought that this is how a lecture would take place? Or the organizations who were so reserved in giving work from home, who would have thought that they would enable their employees to actually work from home? And now organizations are finding it more profitable or more convenient to actually we have heard TCS announcing that they will move 75% of their people on a permanent work from home policy. So
Yeah.
definitely, as they say that necessity is the mother of invention. So yes, human race as such has proved that right yet again by reducing the span of this drug invention from 10 years to 1 year. So
Yeah,
yeah,
actually,
and thank God we could do that actually.
yes, and actually it also triggers and it reprioritize things. See, healthcare, artificial intelligence was already helping and some development was going on. But now when the situation occurred, so there are a lot of perks which has been shared by government as well. Many initiatives, they are also motivating people that yes, now they are also motivating in their best capacity and encouraging people to come up with this technology and vaccine. So when you get that kind of boost from and you do not have to worry about the fundings and all, I think there at that time this research takes a peak also.
True.
So I think yeah. So health in healthcare, I think this is this particular last year was focused on COVID, but I think nobody will deny that in the past also there are multiple such problems and disease which actually need very quick care right now. Like if we see the cancer. Like when we were young, we used to hear about cancer like once in a 2 year or a 3 year, like oh, somebody very far away is having. But now cancer has become so common, so it is the disease is increasing, spreading fast. But yes, so has to be the growth in its prevention and its healthcare facilities which is available. So I think with now another thing which is added, AI has added and speed up in the field of healthcare is about the surgical robots being coming up. So they are also if there is less amount of doctors, or in these situations when the doctors are not physically present to actually treat you, and that time, in this time, if a machine is treating you in the same way a doctor would have, with more precision and accuracy, I think that is also a very good research happened and taking care of us.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, true, definitely. Fine. So moving on, our next domain is home automation and robotics. So let's see how is artificial intelligence and image processing doing this magic for us. So in this, basically, if you see that today most of our devices are connected. So if you talk about automation, though it is not too prevalent in India as of now, but still there is technology. There are technology enthusiasts who have already converted their home into centers which can be operated through mobile. One simple application. So imagine I'm coming from a tour after 3 days, and from the convenience of my mobile, I can turn on the geyser for a warm bath. I can make that food which is kept in the refrigerator to get hot. I can instruct my vacuum cleaner to clean the house before I arrive. I can actually regulate the lights, the fans, all the electrical equipments from the comfort of my mobile phone. I can even have some robots which will, or machines rather, which would cook for me. So certain ingredients we make it ready, and rest of it would be done by these robots. What an amazing life it is! How comfortable things will be. So it can turn on the small music which I like, and not only that, it's like a family. If it has 4 members, through facial recognition, all the devices identifies the person. They know you. They know that okay, if this person is in the room, or if this person, if this person is here, then what do I play on a TV? What music do you like? What temperature do you usually prefer? So all these things which take so much of our daily time, uh, it'll be freed up. It's like we can we can rather spend our energies in further innovating and creating certain new things than doing this usual course. I mean, it'll be such a wonderful world. You, what do you think, Minakshi?
Yeah, I think you rightly mentioned that, and I think these kind of systems and AI will also help a certain section of a society whom we called differently abled people. Like it is very difficult for them to do and perform their daily course if they have difficulty in moving from one place to another. This will really going to simplify their work. And especially I've seen a system. I was just reading through some articles wherein it was saying that for a person who cannot see, it is very difficult for them to actually go through those paperworks at particular certain sites. Maybe as we already discussed about aviations, at there that paperwork is which is right now paperwork is mandatory and it holds a certain importance. It is very difficult for them. So see, if face is going to work everywhere as your identity, then they do not have to worry whether they can see that document or not. Their face is being captured, and they are able to successfully pass through all those gates and things. Similarly, at home also, they do not have to worry where the thing is. If it is automated, if it has artificial intelligence into it, it is just that they have to think about it and it will be done. So yes, definitely. And sometimes I feel if I'm waiting for this kind of AI to enter my home as well. Because of this COVID situation, we are working from home also. Kids are having their schools, online classes, and then we have to do the houseworks, also the household works. So in all these bhagadodi, some of our works get impacted, no? So we forgot to okay, we have to just switch on the rice cooker. So but we don't get the time to just go and switch it on. Okay, so by the time my meeting will finish, my rice will be cooked. So if this technology will be there, no? So okay, I can just operate it from during the meeting itself. So I think in this, if this is going to prolong, we have to work from home. Then yes, for housewives, for lecture, for teachers especially who are working, operating from home, they have to be connected continuously from morning till afternoon with the students right away. So there will be machines will be taking care of their household works during that time. So I think that will be for peace of mind for everyone.
Definitely, definitely, yes. And I mean, think about it. This Echo Dot, Amazon's Echo Dot, when it first hit the market, Indian markets. I mean, I remember my father asking, "Why do we need it? What will it do for us?" But now, I think we cannot do without it. So it's like you can put an alarm on, you can instruct what it has to do, you can enable it, and it'll play the best of the music what you like as per your mood. You just have to tell, I'm sloppy, I'm anxious, and it'll do things for you. So I mean, such personalized solutions. So I mean, if I want, I can talk to Alexa in Hindi, I can talk to Alexa in any language. So such personalized solutions are making us so more efficient. Definitely, but definitely they have their downsides also. But yeah, for now, let's just think that how comfortable they are making this place for us to be in, and how comfortable, I mean, how they are helping us in improving our efficiency so that we can focus on doing what we want to do rather than doing what we have to do. So yeah, that's how technology is. Fine. Moving on, I think next is the mobile and the digital cameras. Yeah,
Yeah,
Meenakshi.
yeah, I think this is one thing which I think in this particular topic everybody must have something or the other to share, because I not only a single mobile. Now it is a habit of keeping at least two two mobiles. Everyone keeps two mobiles because there is so many things to do with mobiles today. Even if your mobile is away from you for a minute or two, you will feel that, oh, something important is missing. What is missing? And it's your mobile. So in this mobile and digital camera is the core. I think it is. I've seen people buying new phones without realizing what all new technologies has been embedded into it. The first thing they'll ask for it, how is the camera? Because now you do not have to carry multiple devices. Okay, if you are going for an outing or something, you do not have to carry a phone to talk to people and convey your regards, and you do not have to carry a camera separately to capture those memories you create at that particular outing. It is all done in one way or in one particular device. So talking about cameras first, I think lot of skin imaging, skin toning apps, everything. Uh, what actually happens behind is that this camera detects any subjects in that camera frame which is there. It can be anything. It can be a food also. It can be a landscape. It can people, sky, anything. It can be anything. And then the camera works at its best when you adjust the settings. You can see there are we have put up a lot of settings here. There are multiple amounts. There are like exponential growth in the settings which are being provided by the manufacturers these days. which helps actually that camera to work with those settings according to that subject, and then giving the best possible results. Wherein now this AI and ML have this potential to effortlessly identify the facial features, even the feature, a smiling face, a frowning face, a scared face, and then enhance it and to get a terrific portrait image automatically. Now you do not have to like play so much to get a portrait. This your smartphone camera will do that. So that is the level of expertise we have already achieved, and artificial intelligence is working on. You do not have to buy a very professional, very expensive DSLR of certain capabilities and then go through the training to actually learn how that DSLR will work. It is just on a click. You have so many filters available. You do not have to put on a makeup to get a perfect picture. Even as soon as you wake up from your bed, in there itself you can get a picture. Nobody will ever say that okay, you are not ready for the party. So, and I think one live example we can see is now in this lockdown theme, we have seen that all these meeting softwares are coming up with virtual background. Right. I think 100% of the attendees will agree, yes, that virtual backgrounds are helping them to give a professional look or something, because everybody's home is not as fancy or as clean, I would say, to be able to be represent to everyone in the meeting while having a video conference. So these virtual backgrounds. Okay, so if you, whatever kind of talk you are having, whatever kind of meeting you are having, you can give that feeling being virtual also to all the participants. So that is where the digital camera is actually playing their role. And then different modes. Who could have believed that without light in when you are walking on the street in night and you see something which you want to show somebody at your home, you will be able to capture it in clarity that yes, people can see it. But now night modes are there. You just switch your mode in your phone, and your digital camera will click it so clear and so apt that when you will show it to somebody at your place, you will then realize, oh, it was not looking that beautiful actually. So as there is a certain joke also, no, Imani, that nobody is as beautiful as they see in their Facebook profile pic, and nobody is as dumb as they see in their college identity card. So that is the difference the digital camera is making to a same image. It can enhance and beautify it to various extent. And
Yeah,
for mobile, yeah.
yeah, and not just camera, Meenakshi. It's like there are so many applications which are just built into and bundled into our phone these days. I mean,
Right.
think about the cam scanner. It enables you to, scan. There are multitude of applications which will enable you to learn a new language, which will enable you to pursue a new course. It enables, like, there are times when I remember it's like the whole day I do not touch the laptop, because whatever I can do on a laptop, I can do on my phone as well. Be it meetings, be it making a small change to the existing documents, or be it creating an entire document altogether, or creating a presentation altogether. We can all do it on our mobiles. So the kind of comfort and the kind of ease technology is bringing to us, uh, I mean, the facial recognition coming to our phones. I mean, you can unlock your phone using your facial recognition. So it's really amazing what technology is doing to us. Though yes, as I have been telling, it is making us lazy too. But yeah, I would want to see it, and that's how I tell my kid also, that you should rather see these things as an opportunity of creating more time to do what you like.
Yeah.
So
Yes, and
that's how
not
it should
only
be.
about not only about the cameras and the face things and the office things. In field of e-commerce also, like
True, true.
everything is digitalized. Like you have to shop something, there are hundred and billions. You will think about 2 and you'll get 10 options to shop online the same product. And then you do not have to visit banks. All your banking applications is there. Social media connectivity is so strong that, and it is just there on your tips. So it is really making life very simple. And
Actually, we
recommendations
just
system.
got a question. Sorry to interrupt you. We just
Sorry.
got a question there in the chat where the one of the member is asking that what are the tools that a beginner can use to actually learn AI and ML? So, would you like to take that up?
Yeah, I think from the implementation part, there are certain languages which are picking up and helping us to actually implement these systems, which is like you can take Python. I think all the languages, all the program languages have that capability of implementing the AI. But yes, the most easy and right now, which has the flexibility of giving more features, I think Python is nowadays picking up a lot in this area.
True, true. So just to add to it, it's like uh, when you say a beginner, so it's like when I began, what did I first do was I created a simple program which would enable turning switch on and off my electrical basically any switch in my house through my mobile. So, take a Raspberry Pi, do that controller programming and make it work. Now, as I was talking earlier, the domain you choose, the technology you choose, or whatever solution you choose to start building, you will find numerous source code libraries. Like I was talking about a simple example, wherein how you can write a program and train it to identify objects. The first program I write was to identify a dog. Okay, that is usually how we all start. Now, you won't believe, on the second day itself when I was googling, I identified a program which was trained. I was struggling to train my program to identify between a cat and a dog. And the second day itself, when I googled, I realized that there is a library out there which has more than 10,000 objects which it can identify. So what I'm trying to say is there is no tools or nothing specific which I can say. As Meenakshi was pointing out, Python is a good language. If you want to if you want to start something with the hardware also, then Raspberry Pi is a good controller which you can start working with. Otherwise, just Google your way out and you will find answers. What exactly you want to do, in which domain you want to do, there are many libraries available which you can use and create uh, any solution that you wish to.
And actually, just to add, actually, everything in AI and ML, it is a system, right? And this system comprises of many things, not only a single thing. It won't happen that okay, learning a Python would help, because that system has a background, has a software which is running in background. It has a face which is like it has a UI attached to it, which will actually enable that background. And then it might also have some hardware dependencies, like you can go and study about, you can have a Android application which is actually talking to a web based portal, and then using the background. So the backend thing has a different technology, different language to begin with. It can be like in our softwares which we are developing, it generally uses Java. So Java and I've seen products softwares with C++ also. That is the that technology can be further flourished for backend development. For UI development, then again you can have Angular, you can have expertise in Angular, which and you can provide a good face to your software.
Yeah.
And for Android apps, I think it is open. It all depends on your interest and no, oh,
Correct, Meenakshi. I think we have run out of the time. So yeah, and definitely you can pick some course from Coursera, Udemy, or the various other sites which are out there to actually take you through that how to begin basically. Yeah. So without taking much time, I think we'll just wind up in another 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Manjula ma'am, is that okay?
Yes, ma'am. It's completely okay. You can take your time.
Great. So, the benefits, as we have been discussing throughout this session, what artificial intelligence and image processing is giving to us is the fact that while we can make errors in doing in doing the same task which we might have done 100 times, so it's like 101st time I can commit a mistake. uh, the engines won't do that. So the way they behave on the first time, 1,000 instance also they'll give that consistent output. So the scope of errors get reduced. Better decision making, while we are thinking, though human mind is the best mind, is the best creation, which we all know. We are the ones who are giving life to artificial intelligence or image processing, but still there are situations or emotions which impact us, and we might not be able to take into consideration the multitude of variables which exist while taking a decision. But if we program our things to think about 100 parameters before taking a decision, they will not forget even a single parameter, and they will evaluate the things based on all those 100 parameters which we have trained them to, and do that for us. Definitely it can work in an uninterrupted manner. They do not need time for taking a bath, or they don't need to have food, so they can simply work and work. Handle complexities, yes, we have our own limitations as humans. While the robots, whatever program, coming back to the first slide which we discussed, it's like it keeps on learning. So the more data we feed in, the more intelligent it becomes, and the more optimum output it gives. And yes, we have already discussed about optimum utilization of resources. So be it our home, or be it the domains we talked about, it helps us in optimum utilization of the resources which are available out there. It's not that the grass is completely green. Definitely, there are challenges also which are posing, be it related to security, privacy, cost, and regulation. So I was just reading across a product which says that once you enter a mall, it detects what age, what gender, what complexion, or what nature you have. So it determines all those things through facial biometrics. And then the ads which you see on the screen are customized based on your interest. See how fascinating it is at one end, but yes, at the other end, it's quite scary also. So yeah, these are the challenges which are there, but as I say that necessity is the mother of invention. So I'm sure these things also will eventually lead to a lot of avenues for development and research. Definitely. So how to take the benefit of artificial intelligence, considering keeping in mind these challenges, I'm sure it will open up more avenues to regulate and overcome these challenges as well. Talk about Gartner, yes, even they are saying that next 5 to 10 years AI is here to stay, and it is on the booming side of the curve. So yeah, there is this is the best time to actually work upon this technology. Talk about startups. These are, as per CB Insights, these are the 100 startups which are doing pretty well in AI.
Yeah, and I think they are touching in all the domains. I mean, you just pick up any area and it is there on this.
Correct. And so the time has crossed, but we would definitely post this link in the channel, and would like you to go through it, to go through this video, which actually whatever we have discussed, it summarizes, this video summarizes this. So Meenakshi, would you like to talk about it?
Yeah, actually, I think we can just seek permission from Manjula ma'am if it is okay. It is, I think, but it's a 2 to 3 minute of a video. Manjula ma'am, if it is fine, can we?
Yeah, it's very fine, ma'am. You can post that and we would like to see that. It's very
Sure.
fine.
So
Okay, then
let
let's.
me just.
We can play it right away, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Meenakshi, is the audio coming?
No.
I cannot. We cannot see the video also.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
I think. Yeah, we need to You need to reshare your screen, I think.
Yes, I'll have to do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we are able to see that.
But audio is not coming, no?
Huh. Audio is not.
Actually, this is a vision of 2050 for. I have seen this in Dubai itself. They have this thing in one of the tourist place, but I really liked it and I find it aligned with this today's discussion. So, wherein there will be flying cars to take care of the traffic congestion problems. People can have a single seated cars and traveling to their places.
So I'll just quickly rush through it without.
Yeah. So see, smart transportation solutions will be there, wherein robots are taking on all the appointments of railways, trains, and buses and everything, trains. And then I think it's not very clear. There is a concept of smart classrooms wherein teachers can, it will be easy for teachers to explain the certain concepts like about the universe or across the globe for them. There is a smart healthcare section where now when a person has just entered into the hospital, so its body gets scanned at the door itself, and what particular problem is being faced is detected at the entrance, and then that patient is triaged to a required section of the hospital. He do not have to wait into the queue. He do not have to go to a particular desk and say I have this. He do not need to explain anything. Then we have smart automations at home, which we have already discussed. Robots working and doing their works, making our life simple. And there is a smart. See, this is the one which I was telling. If it is visible clearly, that people are entering into the hospitals and getting the care diagnosis.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think, Himani, I think it is due to some network issue, the video is a little blur. But
But
yes,
it's okay. We could make it out.
yes,
Yeah, but one thing, would you tell me that we are here, we are making each and every machines and intelligent. So in near future, what would be the human's position? Will they be obeying the orders of machines? Your statement.
no, I think
So
that the ground rule is that we have created them, so they will work as we want them to work, and definitely. Teacher If a teacher is teaching students, it will never happen that yes, that student can gather or do that work. See, everybody has their own roles and responsibilities. So I'm like, my say on this would be that this cannot happen, that a creation can rule over over its master.
Right saying. Perfect saying. It
Maybe
should
Himani.
not be.
Yeah, it should. It will not. It cannot. See. So see, when we have kids, right? So whenever our kids are trying to superpower us, imitating us, so then we know ways how to keep it
Handle
on
it.
track. We know ways how to keep it on track. So,
Right.
like, I think there was a movie also in which a robot was created, Rajnikant's movie, I guess, where that start obeying its master. But then we have to correct that, but because that is not good for the society. It is not good for the society. Okay.
Right. Right.
Simply put, if we can create it, then definitely we can destroy it as well whenever required. So
Ha.
yeah, that's about it. So we have come to call it a close. If there are any questions or anything, we are open. Though the time is up, but yes, we are available.
Thank you so much, Meenakshi ma'am and Miss Himani, for such a wonderful and educative sessions that you provided, and you provided various applications of image processing through artificial intelligence. Majorly, you covered security and surveillance, aviation, healthcare and diagnostic, home automation and robotics, and it was such a interesting session to know and to hear from you both. I really congratulate and thanks to you both for sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you so much, ma'am. Audience, if you have any queries, you can post or else you can share directly with the ma'ams if you have any.
Definitely.
They are writing it as very informative session. Yeah, it was.
Thank you. Thank you. Fine. I guess, yeah, that is all. So thank you so much. We would look forward to have this engagement, maintained, have this relationship maintained. So this is the second session which I am taking, and I'm really thankful for giving us this opportunity. So yeah, let's stay connected, and thank you so much. Have a great day to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah, it's
ma'am.
a
Thank you, Meenakshi ma'am and Himani ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.